Hey guys, Ryan Dossey here, and thank you for checking out this video. I'm gonna walk you through exactly how I more than 10x'd my wholesaling business between the years of 2016 and 2017. This is probably one of the biggest questions I get asked. In 2016, I only did 6 off-market deals, whereas in 2017, we did 74. Check it out. Now, the first step to this was setting an actionable goal. Now, I would like to say that I went out and was like, oh, I'm gonna 10x this sucker and go from 6 to 60. But looking back, I didn't have the confidence to tack on that extra 10. So I was like, you know what, we'll set the goal of 50. That feels reasonable. Now, looking back, this was pretty ignorant on my part to think that this was legitimately possible, but we did it. So I'm gonna show you how. So the first thing we did was we made an actionable goal. I was giving one of my siblings a little bit of a hard time recently when they told me, I wanna buy a Lamborghini in a few years. Now, I'm a car guy. It's one of the ways I initially found real estate. So I was like, okay, cool, awesome. How are you gonna do it? What are the steps? And they're like, what? Like, well, you don't have a plan mapped out. It's not really a goal. It's more of like a wish or a dream, right? So what I looked at was how many letters did I have to send in 2016 to get a single deal. My average back then was 2,500 pieces of mail. On average landed me 1 off-market transaction, property under contract based off of the 75% rule. I'll link back to that video in case you missed it. So we looked at what would we need to do to hit 50 deals. Now, if you're doing any math or adding anything up, in 2016, I was horrible about being consistent in my marketing. We call it the 6-figure hamster wheel, where you market, you stop marketing because you've spent too much money and you're afraid of what's gonna happen. You work your leads and wait, you get a deal, you get paid, you turn around and you have no lead pipeline, no infrastructure. You have to go back to the beginning, do another marketing campaign, and then wait 30 days for another deal to come along, right? Really easy to just make 100 grand a year that way and not really be able to break out of that cycle. So we decided to get consistent in 2017. We looked at how many pieces of mail we would need to send in order to generate 50 off-market transactions. So 2,500 pieces of mail times 50, was that 110,000 pieces of mail? We broke it down a little bit more simple than that though, to a weekly level of 2,500 pieces of mail a week, 52 deals in a year. In theory should get us 50 deals. Plus we had like 2 weeks of wiggle room in case we didn't hit it or we messed up. One of the surprising things we found when we started this in January was there was a serious economies of scale to this thing. The 2,500 pieces of mail a month started to explode our lead flow, where we actually had to slow down our marketing while I worked on hiring an acquisitions manager because we couldn't keep up with all of the opportunities that were presenting themselves. So that was the first thing we did. We got consistent. The second thing we did, and some of you guys really need to hear this, we stopped wasting our time with people that were nothing, or that were giving us nothing more than empty promises. I literally can't count the number of people in 2016 that had like, hey, we've got this great thing we're gonna pull you into, it's gonna change your life, we're gonna be syndicating mobile home parks, and you're gonna be an equity owner in everything we touch, we want you over marketing. So 2016, I kind of just like wholesaled like a side hustle, even though it was the only way I was feeding myself, which translates to I was broke. And I was just kind of waiting on these various things to pan out. And what happened was none of them panned out. There was even a developer that we got a development deal that they ended up building a subdivision in that we never got paid on, right? It was a good learning lesson for me. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. The other main guy we were waiting on in this time frame has since been foreclosed on by all of his private lenders and all of his banks. That unfortunately happened to him last year. So I stopped wasting my time with kind of these tire kicker people and partners that, while I don't think their intentions were malicious, other than the developer that screwed us over, right? I think it was just they were too busy doing their own things and trying to fill their own things out for themselves. I was waiting for somebody to effectively grab me by the hand and drag me to success with them, and that just wasn't going to happen. That's not how I've found any of my success. So I started networking with other people. I started finding new people to buy my deals, people that would do what they said they would do. I got serious, I got consistent, and I, quite frankly, stopped wasting my time with tire kickers. And the third thing that we did was we started building in enough profit margin that it was worth doing. I knew when I did this video that, some of the flack I may get is like, well, it's not all about volume. I'd rather make 100 grand a house than 2,000 a house. And let me tell you, when I did 6 deals, I was averaging something like $3,500, $4,000 a deal. You subtract out the marketing costs, it's not hard to figure out why I was broke, right? So one of the other things we did was really started to prioritize our profit margin per deal. So our average profit went from like 3 to over 10,000 in that year. We've now since gone up even above and beyond that, but it really came from just valuing what we did, valuing the risk we were putting out with all of this marketing, the problems we were solving, the people we were connecting, and building in a profit margin that was, well, profitable, right? Which I think that's something a lot of wholesalers in particular struggle with early on, of like, oh yeah, I made like $2,000, I made like 3. My wife overheard me on a call the other day. I was talking to one of my acquisitions guys, and I was like, well, look, if we're not gonna make at least 8,000, is it really worth our time? And she called me out on it, like a good wife would do, right? She peeks her head in and she's like, who even are you? But that was one of the big things we realized is in order to be in this business and accomplish our mission, we couldn't do that if we weren't profitable, right? So that is how we went from just 6 deals in 2016 to 74 deals in 2017. Get consistent in your marketing, build in enough profit margin, and stop wasting your time with people that aren't following through. I wanted to give you guys one last bonus point on this before we go, and that's the other thing we got good at, and that was we got consistent with our follow-up. I don't know your background, I don't know how you were raised. I was raised fairly conservative, where no meant no, right? Not try again or follow up with me in 30 days. So in 2016, when I would make an offer, it was kind of like, yeah, this is what I can do for you, let me know. And I would wait for them. Or maybe I'd follow up a week later. Hey, did you think about that? Yeah, I'm not still interested. Okay, cool. And I'd move on to the next one, right? In 2017, we implemented kind of the rules of, we're going to follow up with you till you ask to be taken off my list, till you've sold to a competitor, or that's it, right? So you're either going to tell me not to call you again, you're going to sell me your house, or you're going to sell it to me. And implementing the systems that facilitated that also helped us to skyrocket our conversions. So make sure as you're consistently marketing that you're also being consistent in your follow-up. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Talk to y'all soon.